Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 288 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. It's May 4th, 2022, episode 288. We're going to be live hacking on some Firefox stuff today. Let's see how it goes. Let's get started. So here's my screen. And already right out the gate, there's something wrong. I forgot that I had changed the layout of everything during my my stint at streaming from the office last week's, or the week before last rather. So if there are some settings that appear off, let me know. I'll do my best to fix them live, like just now, like when I changed the display size. Right. So yeah, welcome to the Joy of Coding. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I don't know what's going to happen during the stream today. Things might go horribly wrong. We might be stuck waiting for builds forever. But, you know, we're going to find ways forward. We're going to figure stuff out. We might get stuck. We might get sidelined, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining. That's half the fun, right? You're watching me deal with software development in the raw. You know, I don't have the solutions pre-written. Who knows what we're going to run into? That's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at is something you have access to. If you are watching this on YouTube, check out the video description for a link. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, it'll be in the details section. And if you're watching this on Twitch, then let me get the... you're watching this on Twitch. Whoop. And then let me drop this into the Twitch chat. Here's the agenda for episode 288. And as I update the agenda, it will live update. And there's an episode guide. You should check out the episode guide. I haven't actually updated it in a couple of weeks. I have a few pull requests I should apply. I might do that right after this episode. But it's reasonably up to date. So if you want to check out the episode guide, you can read up on things I've done in previous episodes. And if you want to contribute to the episode guide, that is a thing you can definitely do, because it is a completely viewer-driven resource. If this is a thing that you want to contribute to, maybe you want to add your own notes, addenda, corrections, expand on some topic, send me a pull request, and I will merge it in. So the first thing I want to do is say happy Firefox 100. Yesterday, Firefox 100 came out. I think that deserves a sound. Let's see, I haven't played sounds in a while.
Hi-oh!
Oh, yeah.
That's right!
Happy Firefox 100. It went out yesterday. It is slowly, the updates are starting to apply. People are starting to get 100. One of my favorite things about Firefox 100, I'm a little biased here. Picture-in-Picture has gotten a number of improvements, including subtitle and caption support on some major sites. That includes sites like Netflix and Amazon Prime, YouTube, of course, and any site that uses WebVTT. That spec, you get that for free. But, all of those sort of popular websites that do captions and subtitles in their own freaky-deaky way, we have wrappers now that let us do that. So I'm very excited about that. Also, an update. I think last stream, it was April 20th, we were working on landing a patch, like reviving a patch that allows these player windows to not overlap one another. That actually landed, and it is in nightly and beta right now because of the beta uplift. So if you are on nightly or beta, so 101 or 102, then you'll notice if you open up multiple picture-in-picture player windows that we will do our best to not overlap them, which is great. I wasn't streaming last week because I went to a conference. It was a very good conference. So what do I want to do today? Well, I was need infoed on a bug about the About Home cache, the About Home startup cache. There is a frequent test failure that I want to take a look at. And, this might be a bit of a pain to examine, because one of the things that... Well, let me tell you more information. Let me tell you everything I know about this bug and what's going on. So the About Home startup cache, I'm not going to go into too much detail about what it is or how it works, because that would take a while. But if you're curious, there is documentation about it. I will link to the documentation right here. We've actually worked on it for a while. In times past, streams past, we will have worked on it in this stream. If you want to know more about how it works, you should read this documentation. Maybe I'll actually change the text here to be About Home Startup Cache Documentation. Actually, I just had a thought. Just had a thought. Frequent beta test timeouts on beta. Why do we run these tests if this thing's only on... Sorry, I kind of got caught in my head there for a second. I think I understand. So basically, we have this component that allows us to do startup more quickly if we've got a cache of About Home. About Home is the first page that's loaded by default. It basically looks like this. This is About New Tab, About Home. You can call it the same thing, except you can set your new tab to be a different tab. You can have About Home be something different. And they both more or less point to the same document. But on startup, what we like to do is, because startup is so busy, we like to, instead of recomputing About Home, we'll pull it from a cache from the last time you shut down. So we periodically cache About Home, and then we pull from that cache on startup so that we don't have to recompute it. Because startup is a very process-intensive operation, and the less we can do, the better. You know, the more upfront computing we can do, like, say, before we last shut down, the better. So, yeah, read up on how that works by following this link. But what's going on is there is an intermittent test failure that one of our sheriffs reported, or rather they call it a frequent test timeout, that occurs when they do a beta simulation. Now, what is a beta simulation? A beta simulation is the sheriffs will take what's currently in Nightly, and they will pretend like the uplift has occurred, and they will push it to try with all of the beta flags on, so that they can see whether or not stuff's broken. Stuff will be broken when this when Central merges over to beta in, say, 3.5 through 4 weeks time from now. So it's a way of kind of like getting ahead of that problem. And what they've noticed is that during that simulation, we are seeing a frequent test timeout in this About Home startup cache test. And it's very curious, and I went through it earlier today. I described some of my thinking, and one piece of information, this is the thing that I was like thinking about when I kind of spaced out there for a second, is that the About Home startup cache is not actually enabled by default on beta or release. It's only enabled by default on Nightly. It's been like that way for a while. You can enable it yourself if you'd like. If you're on beta, I think you can go to About Preferences in the the experiment section. You can turn on the About Home startup cache here if you'd like to opt into it, but I think it's only on Nightly. However, we do run the tests even if it's disabled on that particular channel. Like, we force enable the startup cache, and we can actually find the tests that are being referred to. I think it's over here: browser, components, new tab, test, and then browser, About Home cache. It's pretty deep here, but down here in this initialize function, or browser ini manifest, we tell it to enable it by default. So even if it's off on beta, it will be on whenever we run it, which is very interesting. What else do we need to know about what's happening? Well, I did a little bit of an analysis about why the test is timing out. And I was able to do that analysis by looking at the log. So our sheriffs very helpfully put the log into the bug report about, you know, what was happening. So the About Home startup cache is very one of the nice things about it is that we added a bunch of logging so that it tells you what it's doing. Like, all these things are from the logs, and that's nice. And one of the things I was able to derive from that is that the storage mechanism that we use for the cache, which is the same one that we use for you know, any web page that you that we want to cache, we use something called the HTTP cache. Each cache entry has a representation in memory and on disk called an NSI cache entry. And on startup, that's true even if we don't actually have something in the cache for it. Like, you can think of a cache entry as a URL, a unique item. Every URL results in a unique NSI cache entry, and that cache entry may or may not actually represent something that's in the cache. If nothing is in the cache for that URL, then that cache entry can be used to, for example, write into the cache. If there is something in that cache entry, you can use that NSI cache entry to like pull out the cache. So that's what's, first things first. But what I determined by looking at these logs is that the operation of getting at that first cache entry, like getting at the cache entry, is not succeeding whenever we time out. So let me show you the line of code that I'm referring to. And actually, before I actually go deep into this, because I'm trying not to have us waste too much time, I'd like us to try and build with beta enabled. Or let's actually do something simpler. Let's build with artifact. Let's do an artifact build of central, and let's see if we can reproduce this test failure just ourselves right here without having to worry about beta. Because that makes things a lot simpler once you can reproduce the test failure locally. Because right now it seems like it's only testing and reproducing an automation. The other thing I want to mention about browser glue, I want to show you where the open URI async, what is it, cache entry promise? Yeah, here. This is where we attempt to get at the cache entry. We're saying, hey, get our disk cache storage and, give me the about home cache entry. Whether or not there's anything in the cache entry doesn't matter. Just give me the cache entry. That's an async operation. And when we get something back, because this occurs off of the main thread, we will have a callback function called, this one down here, called on cache entry available. And we will log this message, cache entry is available. And then we will run all of this stuff. And that's the part that's not happening, is that we like request this cache entry and we don't get anything back. So let's see if we can reproduce that issue. While we're waiting for that, though, I'm curious if we can sort of dig more into how async open URI works, because maybe it itself has some logging that we can turn on, and then we can, instead of having to do this locally and build locally, we can push to try and work on other things while we wait for the logging to come back. So it looks like async open URI is implemented in this right here, cache storage. And if it fails, then we will have logged this failure, failed to open about home cache entry. And that is not a thing that is logged, to be clear. Like we init, we say we're going to construct the pipes, and then we eventually get down to initialized. So we never logged an error, meaning that we succeeded in calling this. So it doesn't return not initialized or anything. It may have returned NSOK if, like, it may have returned NSOK and called on cache entry available immediately, passing null, I guess. Like, how would we handle that? If we call on cache entry available, we would have logged this message, cache entry is available, even if the entry was null pointer. So I don't think that's what's happening. Same goes to here. We do all this verification. All of this must succeed. And then we invoke the callback synchronously. It may invoke the callback synchronously. Interesting. So it calls add storage entry and calls async open on it. Async open. So we do have some logging that we could maybe enable here. Cache to log. And that might be our key, is turning on some of this logging if we're logging in the right places. And it like creates this callback thing. And then We get here when the callback wants to bypass cache when it's busy. Where does bypass if busy come from? It's if we passed a flag saying bypass if the cache is busy. Well, that's not the case. And so open is then called. Check state under lock. Remember callback. Load opens the lock. Invoke callbacks. Loading is in progress. Load. So logging here. So I think what we should do actually maybe is push to try with some of this logging enabled. That might help reveal what's going on more. But let's try running this test locally. No, hold on. We want to run components, new tab, test, browser, about home, cache. Excuse me. We're going to do browser locale change. And what we can do is we're going to run it headless, and we'll run it with verify. What that's going to do is it's going to run... moki test. What that's going to do is it's going to run the test a whole bunch of times in a row using like chaos mode and new windows to try and like suss out, intermittent races, failures, that sort of thing, which I think we stand a small chance of succeeding here, especially because this is only showing up on beta. What might be better is to, like, if and when this fails, I fully expect this to... Oh. No, eventually we got there. What are these long waits for? And then cache entry is available. These are long waits, eh? Did it always take this long? I wonder if that's related, because like, I wonder if there's something new happening here. What are these warnings? Not frame targets, okay. So let's suppose that none of this is going to work out. We're not going to be able to reproduce this locally. How would we push to try with these logs going out? Well, the way you do that is there's an environment variable that you can set that will enable logging for various components. In this case, we have a thing called gcache2log. And wherever this thing is instantiated will tell us what the special identifier is. It's called cache2. Cache2. So this is what we want to see. We want to enable cache2 logging at level 5. That's what the :5 is for. It's like, what level do you want? And :5 is like everything. Give me everything. Okay. So how do we get that logging enabled when we push to try? Well, let's see. There's instructions in here on how to do a beta sim. Whoopsie daisy. Where are the beta sim instructions? Pull from everything from central, update central, mock try release sim migration central to beta. If not all the jobs run, to verify test fix, append stage changes to the command and select jobs with mock try chooser, no artifact. Okay. Let's change the configuration of the base simulation, push the try server, and then reverse the changes. Open the first tree herd link in the console. Might take a few minutes for tree herd to find that job, though. Add the link after you deselect the running and the green jobs and check the classified jobs are visible in the current date selection run links trunk as early beta in the GDoc. Okay, so this this looks like it'll be helpful, but how do I set environment variables in a build? I think there is a see all of these pass. That's interesting. You know, there's something else I want to try. I'm very curious about that delay, whether or not that delay is new. So what I want to do is I want to check out a build from, say, a week ago. How do I do that? Update. So if this problem was introduced around May 2nd, let's see if we can find a revision that's a little bit earlier. Or hang on, where was the regression range in the bug? Regression range. So who's the parent of this one? This is the first one in the regression range. So who's the parent here? And perf herder or tree herder, let's pull out tree herder. CA6. So I want to check out this one from Friday, April 29th. And let's see when we build it whether or not we get that same delay, because that smells suspicious to me. I think I've still got artifact enabled, so we'll just do mock build. Because if they have that pause, like I still think it's worth us pushing to try with that with the logging enabled and seeing what's going wrong within the cache. Because I assume I'm pretty sure that that's where things are going wrong. Is it's something is either going wrong in the cache or in the mechanism that returns the cache entry. So yeah, what I'm hoping is to gather as much information as possible. Like, is this pause maybe related to it? And then maybe point our networking people who own the HTTP cache all this information, because I figure they're sort of the experts on how the underlying cache system works. I'm just consuming it. Hey, while we're waiting for this build to finish, I wanted to quickly poll the audience, because I think some people are watching. I've recently become more interested in federated social networks. Like, I've been using Mastodon more. I've started dabbling in using something called PixelFed for pictures, started investigating something called Bookworm for tracking my reading. And I hear that there is something for video in the Fediverse called PeerTube. Now, PeerTube is software that you can run. You can self-host your own instance of PeerTube. Think of it as like a video hosting platform like YouTube, but you can host it yourself. Or like Mastodon, like you can host it yourself. You can like join an instance that's out there. And I'm trying to determine if it would make sense for me to broadcast the joy of coding on a PeerTube instance somewhere. And as with like every Fediverse style application, there is this initial challenge of, well, which one do I want to be on, and does it matter? Are there PeerTube instances where it makes sense for me to stream myself? Should I just use the flagship one because there is a flagship PeerTube instance, or is there one that sort of caters to live hackers and has more of a live hacking community in it? I send that question out to the audience. You can either let me know in the chat. I will happily investigate any PeerTube instances that you suggest there, or if you are watching this recording and maybe know of an instance I should investigate, you can let me know in the forum here to rate this episode. You don't even have to leave a rating, just make it all up, but you could like put some information in there, or you can send me a message over Mastodon or Twitter or email me or something. Just let me know what you think, and I'll check it out. Okay, so we've got our build here. I actually just want to see if we have that same pause, because I don't remember. Same error. I don't remember that pause occurring whenever I first developed this test. And so I wonder if that's new and related. Because this is about a test timeout, right? And those pauses, if they stack up enough, that's where things could go wrong. See, there is a pause there as well. Okay. Not related, or at least I don't think it's related. So what I'd like to do then, we'll go back up to Central. And what I want to do is follow these instructions to do a beta simulation. But I also want to get that environment variable set so that we log stuff. Let me see here. Moz log on try. I'll bet you try. Enabling logging for try server runs. This is exactly what I want. You enable PR logging on try by hacking build automation pi.in in def environment. Wow. Okay. Let's take a look at this file. This file doesn't exist anymore. What are you talking about? Is this completely invalid now? Def environment. No, this all looks like the wrong place. Run ref test, run test remote. I mean, that kind of sounds right. Yeah, this might make more sense in here. In set defaults. Moki test, run tests remote. Test environment. Okay, so maybe this is where we'll put our change. So if Moz logs, do they have like a Moz log? No, okay. Build browser environment. If boat log and browser environment. If there are Moz logs, then say where to put the Moz log. Okay. Well, what I want to do is say env set default Moz log. And then we're going to say cache 25. We're going to set to cache 25. And so let me create a commit here. Enable HTTP cache 2 logging in automation by default. For Moki tests by default. And then where are these instructions? We're going to run this. If not all jobs shall run, to verify test fix, append stage changes to the command. Okay. Sounds good. Stage changes. HG commit. Okay, so do that. Then HG commit beta early sim and then select jobs with mock try chooser no artifact. So did this create a file? It did. Oh, look at all these changes that got generated. Okay, and then we'll go early beta sim. I guess that's fine. And then we're going to do mock try chooser, no artifact. And then what I'm able to do is I can pass in a directory of tests to run. So I see some traffic about various options for Fediverse streaming. Jonathan Lindsay says, "Have you looked at Odyssey.com?" Well, let's take a look. I've never heard of this. Let's hope I'm not getting trapped. I'm gonna open up a private browsing window off screen just so I can take a look at this thing before I put it up in front of everyone. What is this? Okay. What is Odyssey? FAQ. I want to know more about what we're looking at here. Community guidelines? Like, what is this thing? Declaration of Indifference. Okay, so maybe this is the right. Maybe tech. What's on tech? People playing games and stuff. People talking about hardware. Becoming a Linux power user. Okay, so maybe this is the right. Oh, yeah, this is what I wanted actually. So these beta simulations, these failures that were being noticed, what platform were they on? They were on OS X web render shippable. So Mac OS X. Moki test. Oh, is there a web render? You know what? I'm not going to use chooser. I'm going to use fuzzy. Fuzzy's better. I'm going to say no task selected. We're going to do mock try fuzzy, no artifact. Okay, so this might be right. I wish I knew more about what the heck Odyssey is. What is it? Odyssey is a new video site. Okay. LBRY, a blocked. Oh no. Okay. Well, maybe. Maybe we'll look into it. Danny Colin says that's always the issue with decentralized networks. What instances should you use, and is this instance still going to be around 1 month, 6 months, 1 year? Smurf D says, where the stuff for you example want to watch is on YouTube, there's not much that need to join PeerTube. Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm going to move from YouTube to PeerTube. I just mean, like, is there a place that makes sense for me to cross stream to, like, a particular PeerTube instance? Because I agree, like, I think it makes sense to just have, like, a lot of options for people, and they can watch it on the platform that they care about. All right, so once again, it was Mac OS 10.15 shippable. Mac OS shippable? How come shippable's not in here? Do I need like the full set? I might need the full set in there. Yeah, for shippable. I want test Mac OS X 10.15.64 shippable. And then we'll get our logs. Now, what do we want to do after that? Because we're going to be waiting for logs for a while, and that could take forever. So the other thing I've been starting to do is, like, I've created this new folder of bugs I've noticed fly by that might be tasty for live hacking. and something that's nice and small that maybe we could just kind of take out. And so I thought maybe we could look at this one, bug 698873. And let me put the bug description in here, or the bug summary. So basically, we've got these like zoom levels here inside of the menu: zoom in, zoom out, and actual size. And when you are right now, I'm zoomed into 133%. If I go to actual size is still enabled even though it doesn't do anything. And so the request is to disable this menu item whenever we're actually at the actual size. Excuse me, it makes a lot of sense, especially if like you're maxed out in a particular area. I wonder if it makes sense to also disable zoom out when you can't zoom out anymore, that sort of thing. Okay, before we continue, macOS shippable Moki test. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Moki test, shippable, QR, opt, Chrome Fizz E10S. I think the closest one is down here. It was 1015. So I think it's this one. macOS 1015 64 shippable QR. Opt Moki test browser. Chrome Fizz E10S 1. Yep. BC1. Yeah, we'll run that one. Go. So see how that goes. I might have to do a bunch of re-triggers in order for it to rear its head, but at least we can get it started. And I can put a link in the bug for the try push, so investigators can check it out. Meanwhile, let's think a little bit about this bug. So the zoom controls, this where's the source code for the zoom controls here? Well, let's see if we can find them. Zoom in, zoom out, actual size, zoom text only. So what I like to do, I'm kind of lazy. I'll just like look for the strings. And so there's these fluent strings, menu bar. That sounds promising. The menu view full zoom toggle ID for the string. And so, ba-boom, here we go. We've got our menu items here. Zoom in, zoom out, zoom reset, and toggle zoom. And these are associated with these commands. So let's take a quick peek and see what implements full zoom reset. Like where that command is. Oh, here we go. On command, full zoom reset scaling zoom. And so there's this component called full zoom. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is. Is there information here about what zoom, whether or not we're able to zoom further or not? Location change. Update menu. If the menu item, okay. Reduce, enlarge. We'll say zoom manager enlarge. Change zoom by. If a browser in reader mode sends a message to reader in order to increase font size, this is a slightly different behavior based on whether or not we're in About Reader or in PDF Viewer. Otherwise, we use something called the Zoom Manager. So we've kind of got different rules depending on whether or not we're using About Reader or PDF.js. But for the base case, we have something called the Zoom Manager. So where is the zoom manager? What is that thing? Zoom manager. It's from view zoom overlay. Zoom manager. Zoom for browser. Enlarge. Reduce. Reset. Okay. These are the zoom manager zoom values. And max is max percent 500. Max percent. By default, oh, on Android it defaults to 400. Here it's 500. Everywhere else it's 500. And then we divide by 100. I see. Versus min 30%. I see. So that kind of roughly maps to this after you've done the division. So yeah, there is a max and there is a min, and because we know what the zoom level is, we should, in theory, be able to disable the menu items if we're at the zoom level of 1. So I think we could probably work that out. Here's our try push URL, by the way, so we can post this in the bug. Here's a try push doing a beta simulation, just running the about home cache test directory with the HTTP cache logging enabled. Okay. So we're gonna wait to hear back from that. Okay. So the enabling and disabling of stuff, how does that work? There's like the disabled state on the control, and that makes sense. We want to, if we're going to set disabled, we're going to do it on the controls. View zoom overlay, control, command, browser full zoom. And who defines this? This is under browser base. And this is under browser sets. So the command layer is kind of like in here, more or less. Who talks to this? Customizable widgets talks to it. Do command. So I think what we kind of want to do is take a look at how other disablings work. Like the backwards and forwards commands. Basically, I think what we need to do is every time in a window the zoom level is detected to have changed, we need to revisit those controls, those commands, the zoom, reduce, increase, and reset, and set them to the appropriate, like either remove disabled or add disabled. Enlarge, change zoom by, set zoom, sets the zoom level for, apply zoom to pref, change zoom by. So all of these kind of go through zoom manager. And do we ever hear about whether or not the zoom state changes? No. Reduce. When is update menu called? Because that sounds relevant. Full zoom. dot update menu. That makes a lot of sense. So basically, like anytime you go here, here will update the menu. So maybe that's what we should do instead. Update the menu. And what we can do is we can check to see, for example, if let reset equal. Let's just do one. Let's just do a check here, or a real simple test. Zoom reset. Reset dot disabled equals zoom manager dot get full zoom for browser, or get zoom for browser. We want to get the zoom for the browser. Full zoom. What's the difference between full zoom? I think that's what's like. Zoom text only is basically what controls full zoom. Full zoom toggle. Right. So if you want to zoom everything or just the text. And so what we want to know is we just want the zoom. And if we're using full zoom, then we'll get the full zoom value. For text zoom only, then we'll zoom, turn text zoom. If there's a zoom value, then we'll return the number. Okay, I think this is what we want. Zoom manager, get zoom for browser. Maybe we'll just get zoom. Like if I do zoom manager dot zoom 2, and if I change that 1, if I go over here and increase this 1.5, go over here, or maybe go to a different website here, 1. Okay, so that's what I want. This is the value. Just the zoom getter. That seems fine. Zoom manager dot zoom equal to 1 dot o. Like is it a just 1 is fine. Equal to 1. All right, let's see what that looks like. All right. What's taking so long? While we're waiting for this, maybe there's some tests we can look at. Like, is there anything that tries to open up this menu? It's actually, It's a difficult thing to do, to simulate opening up the native menu. We might not actually be able to run this test on Mac OS. We might be able to run it on Linux and Windows, though. Oh, what the? Oh, you know what? I've got this beta sim stuff here. I'm going to go back to Central mock build. So this builds be building. Builds be building. So, I mean, the other thing we can do whenever we open this thing up is we can also disable the max value if Zoom Manager, if the level is at max, and the minimum one if it's at minimum. I bet we can do all three. Part of me wonders whether or not, like, we should be doing it to the commands as well. Like, whenever we reach the minimum, should this button become disabled? When we reach the maximum, should this button become disabled? And then there's other controls too. Like if you do customize toolbar, you can bring, where are the zoom controls? Oh, you know what? I think I already have them in here in my toolbar. Should probably disable that button. Disable the commands. So what we really need is something that, like when you change the tab, do we do something? Do we like notify, essentially broadcast full zoom so that listeners can PDF zoom. Update menu, because like we want to update the commands. Yeah, when the location of a tab changes, whether or not it's a tab switch. That's what we want to do. I think we want to call update menu right like inside here. Haven't been initialized yet, but receiving location change. Let's store and replay it upon initialization. Ignore all pending async zoom accesses in the browser. This is a tab switch. Let's notify on location change. Broadcast a location change so that listeners can be notified when the zoom levels on those pages change. And then apply pref to zoom. I wonder if notify on location change actually should be when we update the menu. And this should be like update commands. Tempting. Tempting. It would make sense to disable plus minus when you reach max and min. Metasieben asks, do PeerTube instances allow live streams? I think so. PeerTube live streaming. I think I saw something like that where you can, yeah, publish a live PeerTube for version greater than v3. You can publish. You can do live streaming. So yeah, I don't know. By importing, upload a video, import with a torrent, publish live, go live. Is there like, yeah, there'll be an RTMP endpoint, and then I can stream to that, which, you know, that's easy. I can do that. So the question goes back to like, okay, well, what instances of PeerTube make sense? Like, I am a video maker. I want to create an account. I want to do live streaming. And I'm into, I guess, science and technology, maybe how to, English, allowed video space. My videos are pretty large, so at least 50 gigs. So, like, these are the ones that it recommends. CrowdZone, Sonet Video Server, Irizidin PeerTube, Videos Trom TF. It's a trade-free video hosting platform for science, technology, and nature videos. Hard Limit, that might be good. Paradigm Threat Conspiracy Repository, that sounds sketchy. Technics, Diode Zone, focus on creativity and electronics. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Where are we here? Build's still going. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to call this update commands. And the place where we called full zoom update menu, we're going to get rid of that. We don't need to call that only when opening. What we're going to do is we're going to do this every time the location changes. So browser menu bar inc 160, browser menu bar inc line 160. Update menu, so we don't need that anymore. And let these commands, I think, are what we care about, not the actual elements, because when you enable or disable a Zool command, anything that's using that command will also be enabled and disabled, which is the nice part of the command platform, or command, the command pattern, rather. So we can get these commands. So full zoom command, for example, is we'll full zoom, and then we'll say like full zoom command dot checked equals not zoom manager, use full zoom. And then reset command is this one. And then we can say that disabled is like that, reset command, and then what's the enlarge and reduce. And maybe we can put these in the same order that they're listed inside the commands list. That might make sense. So reset, and then toggle is after that, and then before that we'll have reduce. Let reduce command equals document get element by ID, and then we'll say, hey, reduce command dot disabled equals zoom manager dot zoom equals zoom manager dot min. And then enlarge command, is that what's called? Zoom, full zoom enlarge, full zoom enlarge. Enlarge command, if that's the max. Okay. And then we will use notify on location change. Say this dot update commands. Does that make sense? Dispatch to main thread. Okay, let's see what happens. Didn't you write too few equals? Did I? Equals. Oh, you're right. You're right. Good call, Ocris. Thank you. Classic error. Equals means assignment. folks. All right. Good catch, Chris. You're saving me time. All right. Zoom in and out. So that's not actually disabled. So let's see what's going wrong here. Let's go to the debugger and say browser full zoom update commands. Are we entering here? Oh, you know what? Probably not, because we want to update commands not only whenever we switch tabs, but also if the zoom level changes. So it's not just on switching tabs. It's if the zoom level changes. Same zoom level. Page in the given browser, the content pref store. Apply zoom to pref. Apply pref to zoom. Maybe that's a better place to do updating the commands. Not, hang on. Put those back. Put that back. Maybe apply zoom to pref. You write that into preferences. Apply pref to zoom. Value. Set zoom for browser. Token. Set zoom for browser. Callback. And who calls apply pref to zoom. That's on location change. Set zoom for browser. This dot update commands. Like, I presume set zoom for browser is not going to like fire an event or something, right? No. So do it in two places. Kind of unfortunate. And what this is for global zoom should work independent of the site-specific pref. So if we have like some kind of global zoom value. Okay. Makes sense. Zoom level. Still not we're not calling in here, eh? Did I forget to build? I probably forgot to build. No, it's here. But maybe it's... What? If I go to a normal website like here. Okay, then we go here. Then we might update the commands. Okay. So home, new tab is kind of different. Zoom in. Actual size. zoom in. No, zoom actual size. So I don't think we've got the right spot. Also, like, update commands isn't doing the right thing either. Like, zoom manager equals 1. So reset command. I wonder if we have to actually set attribute disabled true. I wonder if we have to, it's that old school. So it is. Okay, so there are a couple of problems here that we have to deal with. Update commands. Toggle attribute disabled. Toggle attribute disabled. And then this one as well. Toggle attribute disabled. And just for good measure, for consistency's sake. Now, I'll bet you this will work better. It's not going to get fired at the right time, but we can solve that next. So let's start with the default case, which is actual size. That should be disabled. So, like, what's going wrong there? Reduce, enlarge, reset command. Zoom manager zoom is 1, so reset command. Oh, it needs to have disabled equals true. So just toggle attribute's not going to do it. Set attribute disabled. Hang on. Toggle attribute name force. He'll just set it to the empty string. That's no good. This will coerce to truthy, I think. Let's see what happens now. Some of this is pretty old school. Old school Zool. Old school Zool. So let's take a look at what it coerced to. Reset command. Set attribute disabled. No, it's still the empty string. So that's no good. What does browser.js use for update back forward commands? Yeah, we have to do it this way. Set attribute disabled. When you do set attribute disabled true like that, if zoom is zoom in, then true else remove the attribute. If this, then enlarge command set attribute disabled true, else remove attribute. It's very old school. And then I think we can just start copy pasting. Hopefully don't introduce copy paste errors. If zoom equals 1, then reset command checked. You know what? If not that, then full zoom command set attribute checked true, else full zoom command move attribute checked. All right, is it going to be happy with this? It's a little JavaScript humor for you. How's our try build doing? Oh, it's going. All right. Update commands. Good. Disabled. Now zoom in. Update commands again. Good. Now zoom in all the way. And update commands again. Yep. And now zoom. If we look at some of the other buttons, this one's now disabled. And what about the other control? Whoops. Hang on. Let's put these in here. Okay, disabled. Now let's reset. Update commands. Good. Zoom out. Update commands. Now we might not want this label to ever look disabled. This one to look disabled whenever you're at the default state, because that's kind of like a, I don't know if that makes sense to have it look disabled. Because it's kind of, it's not just the reset button, it's also sort of a status indicator. But all right, we can deal with that in a second. What I want to know now is what is the best time to call update commands? So is it apply pref to zoom? Nope. Is it set zoom? Nope. Is it change zoom by? Nope. Enlarge? I'll bet you it's enlarge. Yep. Now, obviously, what I want is a common place. I don't want to have to like sprinkle around update commands everywhere. So like, let's follow this through. So we go to zoom enlarge, ignore pending zoom axis, then we say apply zoom to pref, and then we we write. Save the zoom level of the page in the current browser, the content pref store. I think that's when we'll want to update the commands. Reduce, ignore pending zoom axis. Enlarge, reduce. Okay, and then we'll want two places. Apply zoom to pref. Update commands. And whenever we change the tabs. Want both. All right, let's reload and see what happens. Get rid of our breakpoint. Okay. Makes sense. Zoom in. Actual size. Why isn't actual size disabled? Now it's disabled because I think resetting doesn't go through one of the code paths. Where's reset? It's here. So like, whoops. What a mess. So get browser token. Then we'll remove the pref. Okay, so that's another place where we're going to want to update the commands, is if we remove the pref. All right. What's nice about this is that I think I can test this by just like looking at the command state. See, why isn't that disabled now? Reset. Move. What is the zoom level? Oh. Too early. Remove pref. I wonder if we have to do it here then. Handle completion. Otherwise, wait until here. Okay, reload. Makes sense. Okay. Zoom all the way in. Hello. is done. Zoom reset is done. And zoom out is done. Zoom text only is checked. Uh-oh, how do I disable zoom text only? Zoom text only. Like, I'm pretty sure if I do that here, it goes away. Yes, so zoom text only, how does that work? We call command full zoom toggle. We call zoom manager toggle zoom. You know what? This is all kind of sloppy. What I think I want to do, what might be a better architecture than like kind of willy-nilly calling update commands from in here, is firing an event from here on the browser whenever the zoom level changes. And then updating the commands. Yeah, that basically, Ocarus, what you're saying. I don't like that I'm having to kind of sprinkle around the update commands inside here. That seems kind of sloppy. Now, the thing is, the scoping is kind of different. View zoom overlay is a toolkit utility. So this is going to be used by Android. It's going to be used by Thunderbird. It's going to be used by a bunch of stuff. And so I have to make sure, and browser full zoom, the name kind of implies browser dash in because of where it's located under the browser folder. This is a Firefox specific file. So I have to do what, like, things over here need to be agnostic to the application that's running it. So firing an event is a sort of like a simple way of getting around this. So we like emit an event that Thunderbird and Android can ignore, and then Firefox can listen for it and use that to update the commands. So let's see if there's existing events that we could sort of piggyback off of. Zoom event. Not really. So what I'll do is we can we'll dispatch a new custom event. Event equals new custom event zoom level change. And we'll set the detail to be the value. And it will, should it bubble? Probably doesn't need to bubble. And then we'll dispatch it on the browser. Wait, what is, we might want this to bubble. This might be a G browser, it might not be. Yeah, we want this to bubble. Bubbles true. Dispatch event zoom level change event. And then over in browser full zoom, does this thing init? Yeah, G browser. Oh, do zoom enlarge by 10, do zoom reduce by 10. We already have some events. Browser do zoom. Do zoom. Who dispatches these? Dispatch on mouse wheel. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, what we're going to say is G browser add event listener zoom level change. And is there a handle event? Case zoom level change. This dot update commands. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll pass in the event detail. Update commands. Based on this zoom level. Let's see what that's like. Okay. So immediately not good enough because something's not happening. Something is not right. I think I need to build again. I think we've got like cached artifacts here. Mock build faster. I saw leftover instances of this build update commands. Oh, yeah, we did have them. Yeah, okay, we need to get rid of these. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of this change. If we're not changing it, we can just get rid of it. Update commands. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. So many instances of update commands. Yeah. Much cleaner. I agree, Okris. Okay. Let's take a look and see how this works. See if this is better. Write once, refactor, improve. We can think about tests. Hey, all right. Now the zoom level is. Hey, all right. Hey, that's looking good. Yep, that's what I wanted. That looks right. Cool. So, I think what I want to do. Full zoom. Something just occurred to me, which is, I mean, the value inside of here is changing dynamically at the exact right times that we would want to update the commands. So what powers that? What powers that value? Zoom reset. The zoom reset, not the menu item. It'll be like the toolbar button. The zoom reset commands. Yeah, what changes this is value? This is value. The Zoom we have something called Zoom UI.jsm. Updates Zoom controls. What? On Zoom change. On Zoom full. We already had it. We already had events. Turns out we are reinventing the wheel. So, put that away. Zoom UI, which is a module. We have these events, text zoom change, and that calls on zoom change, which then eventually calls into update Zoom UI. Controls reset button. Yeah, this is where we want to call it. So update commands. So it's full zoom. Zoom UI. Full zoom. Update commands, and we want to pass in the zoom level. Zoom factor. And full zoom is going to be something that's actually on the window itself. Window.fullZoom. So many zooms. Okay, let's try that now. Don't want to reinvent the wheel. And then if this works, I'm going to probably call the stream here. Maybe next week. I'm not in a rush to land this. Next week, maybe we can work on tests for this thing. And get it up for review. Yeah, this works nicely. And we also need to address the issue where like this is styled kind of hard to read. Like that's very difficult to read. We probably don't want to show the text in the disabled state just for the zoom control readout here. But yeah, this is gonna do it, I think. Feeling pretty good. All right, let's call it there. I'll create a commit. What was the bug number here? So what I'll do, text only zoom still needs to be tested. That's true. I didn't really do much testing there. I'm gonna take this and text only. Yeah, you're right. I didn't fix that part. So I'm going to write that down. So under active bugs, let's create a new bug. We're going to work on that next week. So to-dos. Actually, we'll do it like this. Fix the, what was it called? Zoom text only. Toggle, write tests. Post for review. That's what we'll do next week. All right. Let's create a work in progress commit. Oh yeah, we can get rid of this too inside of full zoom. What else? Zoom level change. Get out of here. And what else? We need that. We're going to change this back. Was that line notify on location change here? I'm going to put that there. And that looks okay. Okay, so commit bug this update zoom commands when changing zoom level. And this is a work in progress. So I'll push this up as a work in progress patch. Moz, fab, submit, tip, single, whip. And we'll call it there. Hey, thank you so much for watching episode 288 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. We didn't get to solve this, but we were able to sort of get the try push going. So if you're curious about what was going on there, follow along. The builds are still building, so we'll probably have information hopefully later today maybe on what's going wrong with that test. And then we were able to sort of knock this one out more or less. We'll finish that off next week. That should be pretty straightforward. And let me know about where, if anywhere, I should maybe be live streaming in the Fediverse. You know, I repeat the stream to Air Mozilla, to YouTube, to Twitch. Is there another one that I should repeat to? A Fediverse instance of PeerTube or something. Preferably nothing that is like super sketchy. So please don't send me sketchy requests or sketchy endpoints. Let me know. You can let me know by saying, you know, dropping me a line and rate this episode. You can also ask me questions, etc., etc. Okay, thanks again for watching episode 288 of The Joy of Coding. Have yourselves a great week, everybody. And I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.